it has ripple effect throughout the entire organization. This Cowboys team has given up. And then the Eagles did just everything they could possibly think of to try to lose this football game. The shock for me in takeaway is that this Cowboys team is bad and not even actively trying to win this game, it seemed like. And the Eagles could barely get over themselves to win this football game. So the state of that division is about as ugly as I've seen in my time watching football. The last time there was even anything even close to reminiscent of this was when the Seahawks won their division with a very poor record, earned a home playoff game, but then guess what? Went on to win that game.
Yeah.
I don't see anybody advancing to the playoffs and winning a game here out of this NFC East. And what an ugly, ugly game of football this was.
Yeah. You know what's going to be fucked up is that the Eagles are probably going to win this division and probably go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, Wentz will turn it on at the right time and end up, taking them to the promised land, I'm sure. But
it's exactly what's about to happen. They're going to finish the season fucking, 6-9-1. They're going to fucking get a home playoff game. They're going to win. They're going to win 3 straight to get to the Super Bowl. It's going to be some stupid shit, man. It's fucking 2020 COVID year, man. It's just a lot of weird shit that's going on. And why not? Why not have the NFC Super Bowl representative be the fucking worst Super Bowl team we may ever see in the history of Super Bowls? Why not?
Tell you, buddy, it is a weird year. It is a weird NFC East this year, and just nobody wants to win that division. They are really, really bad in the NFC East. And I was going to take
everybody is in it. The Giants are technically still in it. Yeah, they can still win this division.
For sure. And the fight, I'll tell you, the fight that the Giants put up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers this week, it looked like they're a way better team than the Eagles or the Cowboys. So
what about the Washington club? We can't count them out.
The Washington football club
might be the best team in that division, honestly.
I mean, all in, they've got some offensive talent. I think that, at quarterback, they might be suffering there a little bit, and I think they're probably a year or two away. Although I like McLaurin, I like Gibson. It's just they're not there yet either. It's like you have a couple of teams that haven't arrived. You've got a team that's completely rebuilding, team that hasn't arrived, a team that's given up, and a team that's just injury-riddled and just bad. What a mess. What a mess.
Yeah, I got one for you. They got a team that hired the same head coach after firing him, pretty much. They have a team that has no name.
Yeah.
They have a team that's called New York that plays in Jersey.
Yeah. Every mess you could possibly have is featured.
Sums it up, man.
What a
Washington, like, not even joking, they're probably the best team in that division. And McLaurin, did you see that speech that he did at the end of their victory not this past week, but the week before?
I didn't, but I heard about it.
Yeah, that was dope, man. I listened to that speech and I was like, you know what? I like that.
You like McLaurin before that, so
yeah, he's a beast.
He's a hell of a player.
Yeah, he's something special. He reminds me of your boy Lockett. He reminds you just like him.
Yeah,
same play style. Not the biggest guy, not the fastest guy. Just goes out there and balls out.
I'll tell you what, your wide receiver comparisons today are spot on, because that's another one. That's his exact game, and he looks like a great young player. And he was unheralded in that year where we had so many great big name wide receivers coming out. He kind of flew under the radar in that group a little bit, but he certainly seems to be a stud. So Washington found themselves a good one there.
Before we wrap up this thing, this episode, Rueter, I kind of just want to give like my overall sentiment that week 8 kind of just reminded me of again. And we hear this phrase all the time where football is the ultimate team sport, right?
I have heard that, yes.
And I think this past weekend of football just kind of reiterated that point. Just kind of, it just makes so much sense. And I had this discussion before with a friend of mine where it's like, we had a discussion where he was saying like, yo, if you don't got a quarterback, then you're pretty much shot. And I thought about that. And at first I agree with it, but I was like, you know what? That's not 100% true, because you can be a team with an excellent quarterback. And let's be honest. That's the main piece, right? If you have yourself an excellent quarterback, more than likely you're bettering your chances of winning more games and winning more Super Bowls. But if that quarterback isn't being protected by a decent offensive line, if that offensive line isn't opening up holes for a running back, if they aren't able to hold to protect that quarterback for them to make the throws to those receivers, if those receivers aren't good enough to catch those throws that the quarterback is throwing, if the defense isn't good enough to get possessions, to get stops or turnovers, to give the ball back to the offense so they can go and score their points, it's like everything is reliant on everything else happening in football games. If your kicker isn't good enough to go and make a 45-yard kick to, give yourself 3 points to potentially win a game, or if your punter isn't good enough to flip field positions to put your defense in a better position to defend their goal, like it's so many nuances to this game that I think a lot of people don't really think about when you're watching it. But when you're actually watching it, you see like your Dolphins, look how they won. There's 3 phases of the game, right? Offense, defense, special teams. You guys won out on 2 of those phases on defense and special teams, and you won the game. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. But then, I hear you.
Look at the opposite side of it. Like Baltimore, we outplayed Pittsburgh defensively. Give or take. Offensively, we controlled the line of scrimmage, but they didn't turn the ball over. We did, and Pittsburgh wins that game. It's just like the little shit, like the little nuances that the casual fan doesn't really pay attention to, but it's such a big difference in a team's like the ultimate team sport like this, bro. And then that's not even talking about the coaching. Like the coaching is another huge aspect of it as well. Like if you don't got a good head coach, you could be the most talented team in the NFL, and we've seen it before. If you don't got a good head coach that know how to put this all together, that doesn't mean nothing. So, man, it's just, again, I just wanted to just give that sentiment of how I was just looking at these games. It's like, man, football is legit like the ultimate team sport. And I don't think there's anything comparable to it.
I think you're right, because, I would say the next closest thing would probably be hockey, because even your best players are only taking shorter shifts on the ice. And, it really requires great goaltending, great defense, offensive skill possessions through at least 3 lines. And then guys that are on the 4th line that either kill penalties or are out there protecting the other guys. I think with basketball in the NBA, especially, you're looking at that's probably the sport where one player can make the most difference, right? You take a mediocre team and you add a LeBron James or, Kawhi Leonard, and suddenly,
Durant,
and suddenly that's a team that's going to contend for an NBA championship, right? And then looking at baseball, although there's 9 players out there that are taking the field, it heavily relies upon the performance of the pitcher, who's just one guy. And then also, if you think about it, there's not a lot of teamwork that's being exhibited all at once. Yes, you need all of the players to perform, but there's a lot of individual battles that are going on in a baseball game. You've got the pitcher versus the batter, and the most you really see as far as team interaction is, like on a cutoff throw, the outfielder throws to the shortstop who throws home, or you see on a double play, the shortstop, receives a grounder and flips it over to the second baseman who turns 2 by throwing over to the first baseman. But that's about it. There's not a lot of team interaction for baseball being a big-time team sport. So I like exactly where your head's at, and you're right. There's so many nuances in the NFL, so many little pieces of the puzzle that have to go right for you to win an NFL football game, and it's great. It's a great game, and I'm just glad to be here talking about it with you.
Yeah, I feel you, bro. Shout out to football, man. It's I don't know what my Sundays would be without you. I know what they'll be. They'll be. Never mind. I'm not gonna go there.
Yeah. They would be exactly what I'd be scared of before when COVID first happened. I'm like, if there's no football, oh man, I do it with myself. But
yeah, thank you. All right, man. Anything you wanted to touch on before we head out of here?
Not much, man. That was really the week in the NFL in review for me. I'm going to be very interested again to see how the election turns out tonight. I don't think that we're going to know everything before the night is over, because I think there's going to be a lot of absentee and mail-in ballots that we're not going to know everything about. So I'm interested. That's what I'm going to be doing now for the rest of this evening, is kind of checking out that action. I hope everybody that's listening to this went out and voted. As I've mentioned before, I don't think you have any right to talk shit if you haven't actually voted for a candidate. So hopefully everybody did their civic duty and went out there and got that taken care of. I know that you and I did, and just wish the people nothing but the best in the next 4 years, no matter who wins.
Yeah, I agree 100% with you, man. Also, real quick, just to kind of throw this out there, if you was watching boxing this past weekend, that Gervonta Davis knockout, woo, that's one of the best knockouts I've ever seen in my life, man. That was so clean, so clean. Yo, do yourself a favor, go YouTube that, and just like we'll talk about it later. Like that shit.
Great, man. So far, what I saw was just the knockout. I didn't watch the whole fight, so I don't know it in context. But of course, I saw the highlight and put him right out, man.
Man, put him to sleep. All right. If you listen to this episode, we appreciate you always. Make sure you go and like our Facebook page, Sports Your Enthusiasm Sports Podcast. Make sure you go and follow us on Twitter at SYE Pod. Email us, sportsyouenthusiasmpodcast@gmail.com. Am I missing anything?
Oh, did you tell him to drink all the water yet?
All the water. Not just one bottle, not just 2, not 3, like LeBron was saying, not 4, not 5, 6. All of them.
As DJ Khaled would say, another one. Another one. All the water.
All the water. Drink more water. Stay hydrated. And, let's watch how this election plays out, man. It's getting down to the nitty-gritty.
Yes, sir.
All right, man. Thank you again, guys. Take care. Peace.